Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday, June 7th, and coin is rebounded really nicely yesterday for all of those who saw the 20% dip in pre-market and then decided to ape in. I know there's a couple of you who chatted about it that might have to change my title here. What? How could you do this? How could you lie to me, BVCDI? Nvidia is not crashing. It is up 50 basis points. Here I was so surprised that I had missed Nvidia crashing. All the same, lots of exciting stuff happening in markets. Nvidia crashing not being one of them. Just hoping. All right. If you'd like to come up and talk about them, just feel free to raise your hand. I'll invite you up. But otherwise, feel free to kick back and enjoy the show. Yes, the forest fires up here in Canada are pretty wild. Thick haze and smog across Toronto and some of New York. But luckily, we have a product similar to the Vision Pro from Apple for you, and it's Dyson now makes like headphones that are attached to an air filter that goes on your face. So there you go. You can just wear one of those around outside when you walk around.
I saw someone had taken the promotion video for the Apple headset. It says, "Why is this man using VR to see memories of his family?" Because they left him after they found out he spent $3,500 on a headset.
Dang, that's some great data. Thank you, Leapin. 413 active fires across the country, 26,000 evacuated, and 8.2 million acres burned so far in 2023. Yeah, what you're probably going to end up seeing is stuff similar to the Fort McMurray forest fires. If you're not familiar with those, absolutely decimated the region, and I don't think it's recovered since. But if you want a cheap house in the middle of nowhere, Fort McMurray is your place to go.
Yeah, but the bad thing about trying to settle in an area after forest fires is they're also much more susceptible to landslides and mudslides.
Fair point. It's all right. With the way markets are going, I don't think many of you guys are going to be buying houses anytime soon. We've been dropping more energy stats. Interesting. We're adding more solar than ever before. What are the big solar pure play companies out there? What was it? Solar City used to be the big one, and then Tesla, in a weird self-dealing acquisition, bought them out, even though they were losing money and probably going to go bankrupt.
Enphase is the one everyone likes now, right? Isn't that like the Tesla of solar?
Are they
Not
purely
not-
solar?
I mean, that's the one everyone talks about when they talk about solar on here anyway, so I don't know. I don't pay much attention to solar stocks. Not that I have an issue with them.
You're like straight all about that uranium.
Or I just avoid sectors that I think have already popped off, and now I'm going to be unpopular.
Wait, what? Why is solar popped off? We're just seeing that more net additions than ever before.
It has.
Solar.
There's more growth. I'm not saying solar is dead, but it's also, look at the chart. There's a lot of up already in solar.
Yeah, fair enough. What's this? Canada gonna raise interest rates today? Maybe not. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the country's hot enough.
Nobody has interest in Canada.
This has got to be the first time that Canada's ever been above, like, I don't know, 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Someone was really cold, and they decided to set the whole country on fire.
I mean, forest fires are something that always naturally happens. And it's part of the problem when you have logging activities that the trees they replant them with, they plant them all at the same time. And so it's much easier for those to catch on fire and spread very quickly. That's at least my understanding. I'm not sure if there's any publicly traded loggers out there. But that'd be an interesting thing to follow, especially if you're in tune with the protests that are, always happening either in Vancouver or elsewhere.
Pretty sure Anheuser-Busch is a publicly traded logger. Alright, I'll see myself out.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Very nice.
But do they do controlled burns there at all?
Yep. But unfortunately, no way to kind of play any of that news, I think. What's the craziest play you can think of based off of like the forest fires?
Are there any home construction companies that are publicly traded in Canada?
Oh, there should be a few. But why just Canada?
Might...
Lumber is a public market, is a global market.
Well, I think you're going to have a lot more fluctuation going particularly for Canadian companies versus just the global market.
Fair. I like some of these suggestions in the comments. Water companies, energy companies, air mattresses for displaced families. And of course, all things energy.
So here comes my lack of Canadian knowledge. Is Home Depot the primary, or Lowe's the primary store for homeowners to purchase products for their house, or is there a different Canadian store? Because I would potentially look at that if the fires are by residential areas.
I'd say one of the two. Home Depot is publicly traded, right?
But I would wonder, for a company that big, if the Canadian market is going to be significant enough. No offense to, or I should say the Quebec fire market is going to be significant enough. No offense to our Canadian pals.
I wouldn't think so.
Well, for any disaster, I would wonder who the government body is that would respond to said disaster and who they would guide people towards for their rebuilding and refortification of their homes to prevent future disaster. I know how the US does it. I don't know how Canada goes about that. But aren't GameStop earnings tomorrow? Isn't that really what the people want to talk about? Yeah,
let's talk GameStop. They're on the 15th. Is that correct? Oh wait, sorry, no, hold on.
Oh, they're chat saying they're today.
They're tonight, gentlemen. Yes,
Tonight is
after-
GameStop night.
Tonight is GameStop night. To the moon.
Tonight.
Oh man, between Diablo 4 and Tears of the King, I guess Diablo 4 wouldn't be in their numbers. Will Tears of the Kingdom be in their numbers, or is that too recent as well? Because those are the games.
too recent.
Yeah. So, then what came out within the last 4 months that would be in their numbers? Those are the two huge sellers I can think of. Hogwarts Legacy is probably already in their numbers from last time, right?
That was a while ago. Actually, that might be in this quarter, isn't it?
That'll be in this quarter. It's up to January 1st to March 31st.
Okay, well, Hogwarts sold very well. I'm sure that made them a good chunk of change when people were coming in to buy.
But I think their next earnings will be much better.
How's the NFT marketplace going? They selling their horse armors and other valuable items?
I think
Their NFT market's not doing very well, but they've got this player out. So, this Web3 game player. So that'll be interesting. I don't think it's fully out, actually. But they're working on it. They've released something of a beta.
So I was just going to say, I was looking at the map of Canada, and I apologize, I'm not so geography oriented with this place. But it looks like the east side of, obviously, Canada is burning the most, and so it looks like Lowe's for the win, as they have the most locations over there, versus Home Depot is more on the east coast side.
I just don't know if Quebec is a big enough market to impact Lowe's significantly.
Yeah, I don't know. It just says the Canada fires are where is it at? Locations. It's coverage a lot of areas actually. So, I mean, you guys are in Canada. You guys should know better than me. Yeah.
Well, opinions in Canada, but he's not allowed to actually say which stocks he likes. It's part of his contract as he works at Citadel as a janitor. Very important. So, unfortunately, our Canadian can't give inside information. Very disappointed.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, GameStop's up 6.5% in pre-market.
So they're finally putting out the real numbers. It only took 2 years.
What the heck? What does this become a weapon? Carbon tax. You guys talking about some weird stuff in this chat. Quebec needs beavers. PR Sutton. I think Hardy said that he was going to sell the winning leg on his GameStop strangle and then let the other one ride through earnings. So you would be correct.
Now, is anyone playing any sympathy plays with GameStop? Like AMC or a BlackBerry or maybe Towel Store, if you can still trade Towel Store?
Yeah, what's the status on Towel Store? Are they not bankrupt yet?
They're going through it, and I think it's June 14th or 16th is when they're going to actually have the ruling come through. But the few remainders seem to believe they're going to get bought by some major Canadian player who's going to turn them into the greatest Canadian company ever and save them all. And I'm just reporting.
Canadian players in line of fire.
They'll use all those towels to put out the fires by fanning the flames down.
I was going to say getting all those towels wet and just rip off them.
It was Jay Bourbon who said he's doing BlackBerry, right, as a sympathy play. So maybe you want to try BlackBerry and see if it goes to the moon with GameStop?
GME is almost up 8% already. My calls.
Oh snap! That's the best thing ever when it pumps prior to earnings, so you don't have so much IV crush happening, and you're making some money. Hopefully, go ITM.
If,
Yeah, it's gonna be.
If you have GameStop calls and it does do this nice percentage jump this morning, and you find yourself with a little bit of green, I'm not saying don't sell all your calls, but maybe don't be afraid to take a little profits before earning. Put a little money in your pocket. Just a thought, people.
Yeah, I'm definitely probably gonna get rid of them before the earnings call because I had bad luck with Gap and I just a little nervous. I don't think their earnings is going to be that fantastic. I think it's going to be okay, but next earnings is definitely going to be a big improvement based on their most recent stuff they came out with.
As Hodry always says, sell half of the double, and then you can free roll the rest.
Definitely, that's the goal. That is the goal.
Nobody ever went bankrupt realizing gains. Never forget that. So I do wonder, is GameStop going to say AI in their earnings call? And if so, how many AIs do you think we're going to get out of them?
We're going to get a big Web3 AI.
Do I hear earnings called drinking game?
Yeah. I'd almost play that game because I highly doubt they're going to say it. I mean, what could they AI about? Their membership card? I mean,
NFT marketplace AI generation, baby.
It's something coming out with a Web3 based gaming platform. Maybe they'll have some kind of AI. Their enemies. They'll figure a way to stuff it in there somewhere.
AI game trades. There it is. The AI accurately generates the $5 you get for your new $70 game that you bought. Very, very important.
So whenever you trade in a game, you can either get the $10 cash or $20 in store credit and an AI generated NFT.
Oh, I like it. Yes, there it is. See? We have great ideas here.
yeah, I just don't see GameStop. I get they transferred to a toy store. You know, I get the whole sector rotation. Let's make our company better into the AI field. I just don't see it. I really don't see it at the end of the day.
We got a hedgy shill in the talk, boys. He doesn't believe in the GME AI future that's to come. They're going to build Skynet and make the world a better place.
Yeah, yeah, no comment there. I'm looking forward to the. Well, let's be optimistic here. October conversation where we're going to talk about GameStop had an opportunity, but they didn't take it. I look forward to it.
Any other good earnings other than Video Game Store? Or is that the most interesting earning? Oh, Campbell's was this morning. I know some people were talking about soup. Did anyone make soup money?
No, that would be a play. That would be a play to play.
So the Campbell's was down.
Well, we did have a tomato. Didn't we have a tomato like harvest problem?
Yeah, there was a bad tomato harvest. Yeah, they are down 3.72% in pre-market. Just means I was 8 months too soon on my short.
Doesn't make sense to me. I feel like people are out there buying soup for their family.
So it says Campbell Soup beat quarterly profits estimates on price hikes. So maybe, who knows? Let's see here. They did
have
beat.
bad forward guidance.
Yeah, maybe they're forward guidance. I mean, it's kind of hard to have forward guidance on soup. It's like saying, is the economy going to recession or not? Like, I don't know.
Well, they also own Prego, so the sauce company.
I'm not saying they started the fires, but just saying, a little suspicious.
What's Big Soup hiding?
I heard they fill the dark pools with soup in order to hide the numbers.
So they said that they're still a little squeezed by the high prices of commodities and freight, as well as higher marketing expenses. They did, yeah. So I just say that their company net sales rose about 5% to $2.23 billion, in line with expectations. I would say that, and this is just speculative because I'm not really familiar with the whole FEMA and those kind of helpful organizations in regards to what food supplier they use. But I would assume that Campbell's is kind of one of those safe bets, right? Is that wrong to assume?
Campbell's isn't the only game in town.
Fair enough.
I'm sure there are other competitive third-party companies that are not recognized brand names who can bid lower.
Good morning, Hardy.
Oh, I had to
A
have
lot
the
of
back party.
a lot of the chat's been asking about your GME earnings play, obviously.
Yes, and I showed up today to explain my current position. I currently hold GameStop June 9, 24 puts, June 9, 26 calls, 23 puts, 25 puts, 25 calls. Basically, because the volume has been so low, I'm spread across multiple strikes. But the important part is because IV has increased, my entire position is profitable, both the puts and the calls, which is exceedingly rare. And so I intend to liquidate today both sides in GameStop before market close as IV continues to rise, and then overnight after market close, I'm probably going to buy 20 Delta Strangle on GameStop. I'm sorry, kid. I'm still interviewing nannies, so haven't been able to attend these. But going into earnings, I'm debating whether I should use some of the profits to buy 20 Delta call or 20 Delta put speculatively against GameStop earnings. Does anyone have questions?
Yes. Is it okay to take or what's your opinion about taking the contrarian side of all these? I guess you would say loyal fans to GME and the AI play that they think will hold valuable to GME's long-term growth.
GME doesn't have any AI engineers or AI adjacent engineers. And Charming Style, it's for June 9 expiration. The goal is exposure to the overnight. And looking at GameStop now, they're at 26.60. So I think I need to exit my short puts as well because they're basically down to zero. Francis, it's the same way Kodak used blockchain. Or Francis, excuse me. Separately, we had the short list of tickers for the Russell rebalancing play has been put up. So it's a matter now of just picking which ones you like and buying mid-July or August puts at whatever strike you're comfortable. The expectation is that these tickers will go down as a result of Russell rebalancing. And so we've identified, thanks to a lot of the help from the apes here, tickers that have outperformed the Russell index and therefore will have shares sold off to meet the lower weight requirements that are more than 100% institutionally owned, so that the selling is going to be algorithmic, and that have among the institutional owners, the largest owners are Vanguard and BlackRock, as opposed to some speculative PE group. Helpful high, it would. But you have to remember that the selling is predetermined, it's algorithmic. So other people will start putting their own contracts in. Accomplished ad. I have not been publishing plays lately, mainly because I'm trying to find a new nanny for my kid. The old nanny had a family emergency and needs to move closer to home. So unfortunately, the commute is unreasonable to expect of them. And frankly, the options market isn't as volatile as it was earlier in the year. I am still trying, in the time that I can get, I am looking for a way to publish at least a more detailed analysis on the tickers that crossed their gamma max or delta neutral. So you can see, I'm still working out what precisely to display and how to display it, but I'm thinking along the lines of showing all the historical crosses, how far they went from gamma max or delta neutral after the cross. To generate some sort of confidence interval off of those crosses where I can, so that you can decide for yourself which dishes you want from this particular menu, this buffet of plays. Now, whoever was asking about the rebalance list, let me push that up. Let me publish that now. Sheets. So rebalancing play list is in the comments. And we did this for both the Russell 1000 and 2000. Yeah, I can't afford the Mrs. Doubtfire here. Just so you know, in New York, top nannies earn $50 an hour, and I'm not willing to pay that much.
So, in other news, on another one of our favorite tickers, Tesla has announced that they will be licensing their autopilot and full self-driving software to other OEMs. So I'm going to be looking to sell some cash secured puts to acquire more shares in Tesla. It opens up a new revenue stream for them, and I would suspect that other OEMs that don't want to spend billions of dollars developing their own full self-driving and autopilot would be eager to jump on this. It catches them up to Tesla really quickly in terms of the technology for full self-driving and autopilot, so it makes a lot of sense. And I'm also getting into Allison slowly but surely. It's a longer-term play. They have solid financials. It's a good long-term play for military and electric vehicle frames and heavy-duty transmissions. The ticker on the second one is Alpha Lima Sierra November, ALSN.
So we got Francis, I think it's Francis, excuse me, asking about AMD, really wants to know about AMD. So if anyone has an opinion about AMD, please let us know what you think, so he doesn't have to keep copy and pasting his same comment over and over.
For those asking about the GameStop strike date, it would be for June 9th, this Friday. The thesis is that GameStop will have an outsized move. I'm still undecided whether it'll be a massive move up or massive move down. I do need to eventually price closer to 4 p.m. today the size of the move, or the size of the move required to break even, and then make my own risk assessment from there. Keep in mind, a lot of apes have been paying ridiculous prices and inflating the implied volatility for June 9 expirations. So my June 9 strangles are already printing, and I might just close it all out before the announcement. I don't know the strike price for the speculative long GME strike AOT. It'll depend on where the price moves after market. Pre-market GameStop moved, I think, 4% or thereabouts. So I suspect it's going to be a wild ride today. So I specifically say 20 delta, but you could probably go down to 10 or 15, if only because the expected move is huge in both. It is huge for two different reasons. One, moneyed interests who want to keep the price down to protect their short position, and irrational buyers who believe in MOAS. Mother of all short squeeze. Or Moasis, if you're a certain cell phone salesman. AK-47 depends on your expiration and the potential IV crush. So let's see, do we have... Okay, we do have enough, well, relatively few people. So let me share a screen so we can go over a little bit of math. All right, let me... How do I reduce the... All right, the screen's not flickering, right? Everyone can see what I'm showing? Cool.
This is one of the
GameStop.
first times I've actually been able to see someone's screen when they shared.
So this green line here is the June 9 implied volatility for GameStop. It's currently showing 210. Prior to the announcement of the earnings, it was probably, let's call it 100, right? Or 110. So that represents a 100-point increase in implied volatility because of the uncertainty of earnings. Now, that also represents roughly how much IV is expected to crush. That is to say, after earnings, this 100-point increase in IV will probably go down from 210 back to 100, thereabouts. Okay, so to keep the math simple, let's call it a 100-point decrease. Now, let's look at the GameStop options chain. If you were to buy an at-the-money strangle, so let's say 2650 puts and 27 calls, the Vega is currently 0.8 cents per percentage point of implied volatility. So to buy the strangle represents 1.6 cents per IV. Now, if you multiply that by 100, that's $1.60 that you'll lose due to IV crush. So if nothing happens and the price just stays flat, the value of your options position is going to go down $1.60. You need to make sure that whatever move you think will happen overcomes that $1.60 expected move. Does that all make sense? Does anyone have any questions? Also curious, I'm seeing people bidding up the price as high as $30 on GameStop pre-market. So, okay, going through questions quickly. AK-47, so IV, you need to basically use the Black-Scholes formula to take the historical price of an option and then back that out into an implied volatility. Every unique combination of strike and expiration will have a slightly different volatility, and each broker, Interactive Brokers, TD Ameritrade, etc., have different ways of calculating historical volatility. So you need to make sure when you're comparing history, you compare like to like. This historical volatility that you see on my screen is just Interactive Brokers' definition. I don't fully agree with it, but for demonstration purposes, this is simple enough. Who else had a question? Oniondale, it's $1.60 per share. So you're right, it's $160 for the entire strangle. What's your question, Leapin? Can you rephrase?
Hari, would you mind going through that explanation again, where you're telling that how Vega and the reduction in the implied volatility is going to affect the option price?
So Vega is the sensitivity of the value of an option to the move in implied volatility. This chart here in the upper right corner is the implied volatility for GameStop. Actually, let's see if we can zoom in a bit. Yeah, that'll do. So at the end of earnings, the implied volatility will crush or fall because there is much less uncertainty following earnings than there is before earnings. And that's what powers what's called IV crush, and that usually plagues most people who gamble on earnings plays. So, using the value of IV at the time the press release went out announcing the earnings call, you can assume that the IV will fall back to around that level or below, with the expectation that after earnings, the uncertainty that was building up goes away. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So here's the math part about it. Prior to earnings, the earnings press release, let's say the IV was 110%, right? The actual number is irrelevant. What matters is the change. So we go from 110 to 210. It's actually a bit higher now. So it's reasonable to expect IV to drop back to 110 after earnings. So that's a 100-point drop in IV. Now remember, if you were to buy a hypothetical strangle at the money on GameStop, you're paying 0.8 cents in Vega for each side. Right? That's the Vega column here. So that 0.8 cents long Vega means you add them together for 1.6 cents total per point of implied volatility. You still with me?
Yes, sir.
So if implied volatility decreases by 100 points, it's that 1.6 cents times the 100-point decrease per share for the strangle. Okay?
Gotcha. And then you said something about buying strangle after the earnings. What was that about?
Not after the earnings. So I currently have a strangle, multiple strangles technically,
Right.
because there wasn't enough volume. I intend to sell the vast majority of it, only because they already are in the money or profitable. It's kind of interesting actually. The price went up, and because IV also went up, my puts are still profitable. So it gives you a sense of the absurdity of the GameStop earnings calls specifically. There are other companies like this, but GameStop is the most liquid of them. So after realizing those profits and getting my principal back, I'm probably going to carve a section of those profits to speculatively buy 20 delta calls or 20 delta puts against GameStop to hold through earnings. I might even make it a strangle. I haven't decided yet, because there are two very compelling forces that are trying to move the price. Now, what I need to figure out, and I'll probably be back on around 3 o'clock to go over the analysis with everyone present. What I need to figure out is, beyond what price does the underlying stock need to move in order for the options position to make money? Because when you buy a strangle, there's some price range above and below the current price, outside of which you earn a profit, within which you lose money. Make sense?
That makes sense. Yes. Very cool. Thank you for the explanation. I really appreciate it.
Okay, who else had questions? CB, well, Leopard actually, how can we apply? Leopard asking earlier how we can apply this. You have to keep in mind that the rate with which IV increases, and therefore the Vega composition of an option price increases, needs to outpace theta. And it's not always true for every stock. So there's a little bit of risk in that sense if you try to buy a strangle on every earning in the run-up to every earnings announcement. Mr. Kareem asking about half on a double. I haven't been publishing plays lately because my now former nanny had to move back home, and the commute for them is too long to take care of Noah, and so I've been interviewing new nannies to replace the former nanny in order to care for Noah. Until then, I'm doing care for Noah along with Anita, and frankly, because of the education that the former nanny gave him, and because of that nurturing environment she was able to create, Noah is now 5 months ahead of his peers in terms of developmental skill, which is amazing, but at the same time very hard to keep up. Once I can secure a replacement nanny and they start, then I can go back to working on half on a double and putting up either plays or finding a way to automate the analysis and publish that regularly, so that you're able to, using the gamma max or delta neutral levels along with some historical knowledge on previous reactions, make an informed decision on your trades, or at least a better or less uninformed decision on your trades. Ayot, the growth in implied volatility multiplied by the Vega needs to outpace the days to expiration multiplied by the theta. It doesn't always happen that way. GameStop is one of the exceptions. Bed Bath & Beyond was also an exception there. Incidentally, the implied volatility at one point was so high, I could buy a block of shares at the current market price, sell a deep in the money call, and still realize an arbitrage profit. It was fucking insane. Zima, they're not necessarily the kind of nannies you'd find on OnlyFans.
Wow.
And Invest asking about the Russell rebalancing. It will start mid-June. I believe June 15 is the first rebalancing date. So among that list that I published, try to find tickers that are approaching their 30 to 60-day highs, and that are also at gamma max, and that are also have a history of reacting strong off of gamma max, so that you have the gamma max thesis as well as the rebalancing thesis working in your favor. The nanny had a family emergency. I don't know the specifics, but the short answer is they're moving out of New York, and so the commute from wherever they're moving to is simply too long. So IV is a component of the Black-Scholes options pricing model where any excess value is generally put, and that excess value is quantified as riskiness. It's not 100% true, but it's commonly enough used throughout the industry that it's still a worthwhile metric to pay attention to. And yeah, really, I could use a whole household of help, but unfortunately, I can only afford so much. Yoko, no specific dates yet. Just understand that for the last 2 weeks, or maybe I think this year's last 3 weeks of June, the institutional selling will happen. So, in the run up to those last 3 weeks, I intend to deploy capital for companies that are at the 30 to 60-day highs that are also ideally at gamma max, so that I have 2 theses worth of catalysts that suggest the stock will go down. If I play this rebalancing right, the roughly 15% of capital that I intend to deploy across all the tickers maybe will turn into 40-45%, the way it did last year with health equity, where my 1% became 2.5%. What do you mean move closer, chat simply striking? Unfortunately, comfortable clerk, I don't have insider trading or special stories for you. And you're right, what the fuck, it is a backed out metric that makes the math work. And that's why occasionally it swings rapidly. Alright, enough sex jokes and nannies. Yeah, I have a really nice rent-stabilized apartment here in New York, with a terrace that is larger than other people's apartments, and I'm paying 1/3 the market price for this thing. I'm not leaving. It's a roughly 600 square foot terrace. Or 60 square meters for the Euro apes. I'm in Long Island City.
Nice.
Particulate matter is about 400% higher than normal, so we've sealed up, we're staying indoors. I've been here at Kongshu for 3 years now. Basically, the previous tenant moved out during COVID and then we swooped it up.
Hari, quick question. How do you identify plays which are kind of worth playing with this strategy, buying strangles, where you can take profits on the increase in implied volatility?
The increase in implied volatility needs to outpace the decrease caused by theta. There aren't really that many stocks where this is viable.
Gotcha. Okay.
The biggest reason why it's viable for GameStop is because there are so many apes who are irrational, who are willing to pay whatever price to get in on a position, or more politely known as irrational buying. or price insensitive buying. And it's the price insensitive buying that I'm taking advantage of.
Got it.
Ranger. Strangle is profitable on both legs, which is unusual. We'll see what happens when market opens. I'm pretty sure the put leg is now losing money because pre-market's 26. I did not expect that high.
Let's fucking go. That is unusual. That's funny you said that.
For reference, I got into the Strangle at around 280 a share for both legs. And it's probably worth, let's call it 350 or maybe even 400.
Nice. I cover my Strangles, and my chewy ones were all up. I know GitLab, every single one went up. I don't think that ever happened before.
Leapin, NVIDIA might fit, but I think AMD, with their AI announcement coming up, might be a better instance.
They have like mega bullish news overnight.
I'm not sure what happened. I guess Superstock, or no, the CNBC hit piece on Cohen probably had something to do with it.
No, there's something like a share offering. I don't want to misspeak, but there's something.
All right, let me go look at their press releases.
No, I'm still waking up yet. Might have dreamt it.
Newsroom. No, May 30 is when they announced the earnings date. That's the last official news from GameStop. So I've been
sorry, I
sitting
meant
on
AMD.
these. Okay.
I'm sorry, I got mixed up. But GameStop does have a partnership with Telos, right? And then they did have another one, NFT, like a gaming NFT. I'm trying to remember the name of it.
Yeah,
I'll find
exactly. Charming style. It's unusual. It'll probably correct itself when the market opens in 6 minutes. But I expect IV to go up a little bit higher. So I need, for me, that let's call it 30 points of IV. So
Did you look at how profitable both sides are? Is that what you were saying when I came in?
I did not. A moment.
Yeah, at
30
the
points.
June 30th or June 23rd, I think, are pretty low in AB.
So I basically need to decide for myself if the incremental 30 points of IV is worth the roughly $48 per strangle to me against the value of the entire strangle.
Well, yeah, it's probably already in the money, isn't it? In a way.
Well, it's kind of funny. One side is in the money, but the losing side, the out the money side, is still profitable.
Well, that's good. That's the best.
I agree. That's very unusual for that to happen.
Yeah, that's why I don't know what they're gonna do. There's too much profit in the chain.
I wouldn't say that.
Like for it to go up, it's going to go in either direction a lot, and it seems like it's
Go at the same
also-
time.
Yeah. It's just so scaring me. It looks
So,
too
yeah,
profitable.
Current 20 delta strangle would be, let's see, like a 3250 call and a 2350 put. But I need to see how the pricing shakes out to figure out beyond what price the strangle is profitable.
Yeah, so you said 2350 put and 3350.
That's based off of yesterday's delta.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
The
I think I
market hasn't
did.
opened yet.
I did very close to that. I think I did 23 on the bottom and 33 on top.
Charming style. If you have to wait 5 minutes for the price to reflect, your broker is fucking you. Option prices change almost immediately when the market's open. Do you have the pro subscription? Because the feed should not be delayed that long. There's too much arbitrage available right now, especially with the gap up that we've seen pre-market.
It's retracing right now.
Yeah, it does that sometimes.
It's healthy. I'm excited. You had more bullish than I could imagine. 3250, you said, and Ryla, very excited. Wouldn't you think? I thought they were going to be more expensive, though, the options, because of the last move.
I don't think you're the only one who thought that.
Yeah. "90 seconds." Even Buster is going up pretty strong, also getting close to 40.
So, Hardy, how do people mess up the bid-ask spread so bad on options? And what I'm referring to is the fact that I'm looking at one of the companies I have shares in that I was looking at selling covered calls. And you have one strike price I'm looking at. The ticker is TELL. And I'm looking at the July 14th calls and the $1.50 strikes. It shows the bid at 1 cent and then the ask is 10. And then on the $2 strike, the bid is 1 cent and the ask is 65.
Market's close. We're not seeing real bid and ask.
Well, wouldn't that be reflecting what the prices were right at market close?
Not necessarily.
Hmm.
Basically,
I'll
you
have
can't
to-
trust options data at a retail or level broker outside of market hours.
I guess we'll find out in a minute or so.
Short strangle requires a shit ton of collateral. I mean, if you think you can get filled, by all means, set a buy at those prices, see if it gets filled. Worst case, nothing happens. All right, that's market. GameStop and IV for June 9th jumped to 250. So it might hit 300, at which point I'll probably get out. Not quite half on a double yet, but I'm getting there.
Yesterday's favorite redheaded stepchild is up 2% today. And I'm particularly talking about Coinbase.
Okay. So it looks like GameStop's going to go down on the day from this gap. So I got out of most of my calls on the strangle. Gonna wait for the puts to gain some value back and then sell those. And then 3 p.m. today, see if it's worth entering speculative long strangle on earnings.
Last one I bought 2.5 minutes before the bell, and it went up 1,300%.
There you go.
That was a good one. What's this?
Yeah, definitely sold mine on GameStop.
I love buying bullish put spreads.
Market doesn't open at 8:30 unless you're in Central Time. Ah, there you go. I mean, back in the day, we used to use an air horn, but
Wasn't Discord supposed to do a soundboard?
yeah,
Yeah, it
you don't have it?
exists. Ding ding ding.
What a
You're welcome.
beautiful bell.
Happy birthday.
I'm actually surprised GameStop is holding it as high.
You never know what's gonna happen with GameStop. It's got the magic in the stock. Are you ready, player one? You know, I just found out yesterday at Dave and Buster's is like 4 miles away from GameStop's headquarters.
So you're saying when Moasis happens, we will make a pilgrimage to GameStop headquarters and then drink away at Dave and Buster's?
Yeah, get some sports on the 2 free boys. Yeah. Some games, get some gaming competitions. There, AR. I did some kind of like 2 years ago. I did some kind of virtual reality there. That was kind of cool. They have the escape rooms now too. I like Power to the Players.
Yeah, post Moasis, I'm gonna disappear. Just
I like
build
the
my
way you
fortress of
pronounce that.
Heartitude.
Some people tell me they're gonna rise on the Moasis. I'm gonna find out who they are, and some people say they're gonna disappear.
There's no value in people knowing you're rich. They just expect you to pay for everything.
That's true. Well, there is value in it.
How so?
Leverage.
In which direction?
Well, it's up to you to decide. You're the rich one after all. Just kidding.
I need only point you, Ranger, at the people who were getting robbed in Miami of their Rolexes because they're flexing too hard on their supposed wealth.
When I'm feeling extra precocious, I do the put spreads all the way at the top of the chain and the call spreads all the way at the bottom of the chain.
Bring in that big dick energy there.
Mm-hmm. It does. My head gets a little confused. But they're like my favorite ones.
My experience has been more money, different problems.
Which direction do you go at which time, right? You go up first and down second, or down first and up second?
Sure.
That's what the spread is all about. Capturing.
Here comes the price.
The escalator. All right, we got it. Is there candlesticks?
Come back down to yesterday's close.
I gotta admit that I took a screenshot here. It says GameStop time. I'm very excited. I'm very giddy to have you all embrace it this way. It's wonderful. And then one day we'll play Ready Player One together. I already had the memory in the future. I won. I think you win the competition. I won the first game. Wouldn't that be awesome though? There's like stadiums and we have like gaming competitions. I don't know if we would need to be in the stadium though.
Esports doesn't really attract the ticket prices that NFL might or NBA.
I'm trying to think of like there's those 4 big teams, right? Like FaZe is one of them. Could though one day, I'm not sure.
If anyone is feeling particularly degenerate, next earnings announcement. Let's see. You know, I should have done this instead. Okay, let me explain for everybody still here. A potential trade to consider in 3 months. Options chain. 1080. Okay, can you all see my screen? Next quarter, with the next quarter, on the day that GameStop announces their earnings release, because IV will rise so much, it makes sense to buy the highest possible strike, because you can then take advantage of the outsized contribution of Vega relative to Delta. So just looking at the GameStop 35 calls for June 9, the earnings announcement came out on the 30th. So the morning of the 31st, you could have bought those calls for 20 cents each. They went as high as 60 cents today. So hypothetically, I could have tripled my money much faster than doing a strangle. So I'll have to remember that for next quarter. On GameStop specifically. And again, only because IV is so fucking wild. Okay, so for those who didn't hear me the first time, the next time GameStop announces the earnings, their earnings report, like the formal press release is announced, buy the highest call strike for the expiration date, with the expectation that the increasing implied volatility will increase the price of that option. And yes, okay, quality. I am trying to automate Not the plays and the pricing, because that requires a lot more nuance that I can really automate, but at least the analysis that shows the historical reaction for a given ticker and a list of tickers that crossed. It's a work in progress, and in the interim, I'm still interviewing nannies for Noah, because bottom line, I'm interviewing nannies for Noah. That's a fair point, Timon, and I can dig into the historical options data that I buy from Oprah every day. We'll see if that still holds true the last however many earnings it's been. In the specific Vega play, the goal is to buy the option when the Vega is announced, or buy the highest call strike for the first expiration after earnings, as soon as earnings is officially announced. The reason why you do this is because the Vega will cause the contract price to increase. The easiest example is to look at the GameStop June 9 $35 calls. Keep in mind, the announcement for earnings came out on May 30, so the first day you could have bought these was May 31. On May 31, you could have bought these contracts as low as 20 cents a share. They're currently worth 42. And as you recall, I like to sell half on a double, so I would have been free rolling half of my position as of last Friday, it looks like. So something to remember for the next GameStop earnings call, specifically for GameStop. That's a good question. Let's have a look. It does not work for the lowest put strike price. It only works for the call. What I'm suggesting, Leap and Leopard, is you buy the highest strike contract not because you expect that contract to go in the money. It's because the Vega multiplied by the increasing implied volatility will increase the value of the option. Yes, it does, AK-47. Well, the good news, Zomi, is that I believe this is being streamed to YouTube, so you can go back later today and review what was discussed. If you have questions, we can reach out. I'm usually able to answer them. However, be mindful that I'm particularly busy lately only because I'm trying to find a new nanny for Noah. Really? What do you think, kid? Should we go long or short on GameStop? No? Okay. For those of you with your small children, you can appreciate, I want to go down, but now I want to come back up. And the sky is heavy. I see. halfonadouble.com is where I've been publishing plays. It was in response to Reddit temporarily canceling my account. So it was put up as a defensive. Oh, okay, kid, you're down now. It was put up as a defensive measure in case I get canceled again. And yes, Ranger, but that's only if your thesis is the implied volatility will go to the moon, as it has for GameStop. For everyone else who joined late, this green line is the implied volatility for GameStop, and the earnings announcement. So the first day you could have bought options for earnings was there, when IV was around 117%. 5, 2, up.
So, Hardy, have you ever thought about trying to kind of guess when they're going to do earnings and try to buy options around that time when IV's low?
You have to remember theta is also affecting your position. So the thesis then is that the increase in IV multiplied by the vega will outpace the decrease in the value due to theta. Make sense?
So it's another gamble. Yeah, it makes sense.
Artie, are you there?
What's up?
So I entered a position, just wanted to share it with everybody. So I'm assuming, so my assumptions are the price of GME is either gonna stay where it is right now. It's gonna go down slightly, but it's not gonna go up. And I'm expecting IV crush. So what I did is I sold some covered calls at 30 strike price, where the IV is like a whooping 300% right now. At least the time when I sold, I got $1.10 per contract for tomorrow's expiry.
Probably could have done I right considering the size of the IV. So you buy 100 shares now at, let's say, 25.80, and then you sell the $20 call for a minimum $5.80. You get what I'm saying?
Run that by me again.
So hypothetically, you could do a buy right, and the idea is that you buy 100 shares today at 25. Now it's 95. So let's say $26 to keep the math simple.
Mhm.
You can then sell a $20 call for a minimum $6. Current ask price is $6.60, and then that way, when IV crushes, that extrinsic value comes to you effectively risk-free. And as long as the price doesn't fall below 20, you're good. And there's only a 7% chance of that happening.
Okay, but if I remember, the IV does not really affect if your calls are deep in the money, right?
Well, right now Vega is 0.3 cents, so that's $3 per share
Okay.
of crush against
Mhm.
Vega
Oh, gotcha.
against a
So in that,
$6 contract.
okay, in that case, okay, gotcha.
But
Oh, that could
again,
have.
GameStop is the exception, not the rule.
Got it. I just wanted to share it with everybody. If anybody want to follow, since I'm sitting on like some extra shares of GME. By the way, GME to Moon.
Farming style, you're short the call option. So you're right. Because the option's in the money, that in the money portion technically comes to you. So the effective purchase of the effective purchase price of the shares is $20, and you're gambling on the probability the price doesn't go below $20 by the 9th, at which point you can exit the trade and unwind everything. I mean, I've exercised contracts before competitive double. Sometimes it's the better move. It depends on how big a premium market makers are charging to exercise instead. You just need to make sure you have the capital to exercise. Microvision, I thought, was a LiDAR company primarily after their failed Pico projector product. Yeah, let me get WSB sound in here. I've been debating whether or not I should buy the Apple VR product. I mean, it probably doesn't have practical use, but it'd be kind of fun to just... Okay, fine, AR, that's true. It would be nice to replace the 6 screens that I'm currently using to handle my stuff.
I mean, is there a way you could just rent that thing? What's the return policy?
So, Kimar, I have used the Meta Pro and I don't like it.
Right. Same. And there's news coming in on the new one, Hardy, from Apple that it hurts your nose and your forehead after about 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, so it probably means I have to lie down while I'm using it.
Yep. And I don't know, like, I've tried on the Oculus when I lay down, it messes things up with regard to the calibration of where the floor is and everything else. So you can't really lie down, at least not on the Oculus one.
I agree. You impress you can reach, Blackfire. I think part of it is just to see what kind of apps will be developed for it. For the mixed reality headset. Admittedly, it costs more than my rent. And I've got a solid 3-bedroom, 2-bath apartment. So in New York.
New York, you say?
New York City, yeah. I know, right, Blackfire? Rent stabilization for the win. Other way around, 3-bed, 2-bath.
4-bath, 1-bed.
It's not fixed rate. It's Well, rent stabilization basically means increases are capped by the city. So if you're here long enough, then the increases don't compound. Yeah, so here's the deal. When I do eventually leave this apartment, because I know I'm not going to be here forever, we'll figure out who wants to be my roommate so that you don't have to so the rent price doesn't get reset. And then after a year on the roommate lease, take me off. And then you can continue the legacy of the low rent. Well, I assume at that point Noah's gonna not need a nanny. Because he'll be at 3K or maybe even kindergarten by then. Crush knows this. I've been looking at houses in Greenwich, waiting for the price to come down to like $500 a square foot.
Oh my god. 500. No, sorry. That's stupid money.
Asking
Are
price
you
for
married?
houses in... I am. Asking prices
No,
for
no.
houses in Greenwich, Connecticut are on the order of $800 a square foot. So,
Are you married in the Northeast?
New Canaan is nicer, but their schools aren't. Also, the property taxes are starting to climb in New Canaan. Greenwich, it's not the case for now.
School does not set you up for success.
No, but it's a very well-funded PTA, and if my kid is the rich person's kid's friend, now I have an excuse to talk to rich person.
Ah, okay.
The
Savage.
reason why I don't do New Jersey is because, and also Greenwich is home to a lot of hedge funds, like sub 100 million medium-sized hedge funds. So
Yes.
having that proximity is advantageous. And the reason why not New Jersey is because property taxes are through the roof.
A lot of the laws in Jersey suck too. No castle doctrine, no open carry, nothing.
You can't pump your own gas.
Yeah, that stupid employment law is bullshit.
It makes me wonder how gas stations pay the bills.
Well, that's a good question.
I mean, you pay for that service, though. That's not free.
Nah, most gas stations don't charge you outright. They just increase the price of gas in New Jersey.
Right.
A lot of times they get Jersey's cheaper than PA.
Kind of funny, Timon. At least when I was passing through New Jersey, there used to be like an oil terminal, distribution terminal at Port Elizabeth. So I imagine that's why New Jersey gas is relatively cheap.
Yeah, I was just about to say that too.
So what exactly is happening when you're looking at like a normal like candle graph or whatever, and like it just jumps? Like, is that just a major purchase or a major short?
Could be a gap in the data. Can you put a screenshot in the chat?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I lived in Thailand for a year,
that.
Miracle Wipe. Bangkok is a beautiful city to visit. But my problem with Bangkok is that there are only 3 seasons: hot, hotter, and wet. Yeah, the lady boys aren't worth it in Thailand, Ranger. But what's his name? Victor and Jesse. In my opinion, the two best tailors in Thailand. So whenever I get new suits made, I go there.
Okay, dropping it now. Wait, it didn't do it.
I mean, in Bangkok specifically, at the Central World Mall, there's this restaurant called Aka, spelled AKA, and their barbecue is to die for. Like, it's Asian style barbecue that caters to Western tastes. Best way to describe Aka.
Have you put a photo in this chat? What the?
Copy and paste. Or are you on mobile?
No, I'm on desktop.
I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
Fair enough. I will figure it out.
To my knowledge, the Thai don't eat dogs or cats unless they're truly desperate.
Oh,
the Koreans do, but that's because in the wake of the Korean War, poverty was so rampant there was no other choice.
China, they do also.
They also eat bats.
Yes. Oh, they eat everything. They have figured out a recipe for just about anything you could think of.
especially pangolins.
But you could say the same for rhino horn. Yeah, I just ended up closing out my entire GameStop position. I don't think IV is going to materially increase anymore. I don't think it'll make much of a difference, Bumblebee, because those companies are opting for hybrid. One of the companies in the VC fund that I advise tried to do an RTO mandate. A third of the workforce quit. So that founder got fucked royally.
Good morning, you guys. Hardy, congrats on that play on GameStop. I definitely want to try to do that next earnings call. So you want to do that now, or you want to wait till they announce their next earnings?
I need to wait until they announce the earnings. And the reason why is because that's when the growth in Vega accelerates faster than the decrease from Theta.
Okay. So they're funny though. They won't announce their next earnings. They won't say their next earnings until like real close to their announce it, right?
Usually 2 or 3 weeks prior.
Well, this time
Okay.
around, they did it 1 week before.
I mean, I've got some puts dated way out on GME just because I just don't see how the hell they're still in business. But whatever, that's my own opinion. But here's another topic. Marvell got something going on with Amazon with the chips. I guess that's why they're pumping right now. Have you guys heard anything about that?
Could you elaborate? Marvel, I know for owning Broadcom, if I remember correctly, and they do like networking equipment.
Well, I guess they got some kind of deal with Amazon. That's a rumor right now. Something to do with Amazon's chips, or I don't know. I'm not no tech specialist, so I just trade. I saw it in the news. That's why I'm bringing it up. I was actually also looking to get in a position on them going out, like not a leap, but like half of that.
The Amazon mobile thing may very well be real, and the reason why is because they will make all the data go through the Amazon proxy, so they can figure out people's buying habits. Because at the end of the day, Amazon's in the business of predicting what you're going to buy and being the one to sell it to you.
I appreciate that input. Calls on Apple a couple days ago, well, after the announcement, and actually made a little bit of money on it. Got about 10 minutes ago. I also had some Palantir calls in November, and I was up on that, and I got out of that too. So looking for some more plays.
Hey.
I got some SPY stuff going on too.
Oh.
Only got one person in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Luke and Brooke.
Is business slow?
I hear
Oh.
you. I got caught up in a blockchain.
Nope.
Hot Mike.
Yeah, no, fuck that valley. I've done enough mowing for a lifetime. I'll get a robot to do it.
Whatever happened with that iRobot deal in Amazon? Did it get squashed?
They have what now, Eyes? Yes. Works and Husqvarna are, I think, the leading ones for the US.
I was at a golf tournament. The Honda was sponsoring it, and they had a battery operated do-it-yourself lawnmower. Just out there mowing the grass. So last time when GameStop beat the earnings, they got some help, didn't they? Like, well, I know it was coming off Christmas season and everything.
It was their first profitable quarter.
Okay, and that was contributed from
selling shit.
Right, but it had like didn't something big happen? Like they had a good.
They stopped
as far
losing
as
money. They were expected
Okay.
to have a quarterly loss, and they returned a quarterly profit.
Okay, so right now we're banking on the Zilla to keep that going.
So the current expectation is 15 cents a share loss on 1.3 billion in revenue.
And what was their last quarter, Artie?
What do you mean?
I'm in their last their beat. It wasn't. They were still
the
negative. But it
previous
was a beat,
quarter,
right?
The previous quarter was 2.1 billion expected revenue, 2.2 reported, and 13 cents a share loss expected versus 16 cents a share gain reported.
That's a huge beat.
I agree. Now, if we look at quarter over quarter, well, that's previous quarter. If we look at last year, revenue was expected to be 1.3 billion, actual 1.37. Earnings was expected to be a 36-cent loss, actual 52-cent loss per share. And then the price still went upsies. So,
Yeah, that's just.
It is what it is.
Speculation.
Irrational buying, and I am happy to sell at inflated prices.
100%. That's awesome that you played IV like that. I love it. Like I told you this before, I just got into options back in September, and those last few FOMC meetings I've played with the IB, I've made money on it. Just on IB. I get out even before they start doing stuff.
I think the last time we did FOMC, I turned like 0.1% of my portfolio into 0.3. So it was a good, if slightly hectic and stressful, 4 trades.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting. Get your blood pressure going.
Well, that's the downside. It should not be exciting. Yeah, hopefully I'll have a nanny by then, but yeah. The plan is to also participate in the upcoming FOMC. I'm expecting a pause, followed by a hike the one following, but we need to see how May unemployment shakes out. Blackfire, I'll publish. So I've been telling everyone what I'm looking for, and it's basically a stock that is at its 30 to 60-day high, and ideally is at Gamma Max, and in the past reliably reacts down off of Gamma Max. So I have two catalysts working in my favor. It's a mix of things. So FOMC, and then Russell rebalancing. Yeah, I know, Timon, but let's face it, J-Pow thinks he can do better than Bernanke. So I won't say he's right or wrong. I'm just gonna make money off of it. I'm still waiting on the Russell plays. Understand, it's not going to be a single day catalyst. It's going to be over the course of roughly 2 weeks. So I just need to make sure that when I enter, it's at a relative high in the face of the anticipated selling. Russell plays are once a year. Last year, okay quality. I put up, let me see if I can find that post. I put up a comment in the WallStreetBets talk. Well, look up my comment history. I had HQI puts last year, and it worked out beautifully. Whoever has the list to that Google Sheet, can someone please put it up for fire or not? Thank you, Paper Hands. Correct, Cyber. The thesis is that these tickers outperformed their respective Russell index, and so they are currently overweight, which means they need to have some shares sold off in order to bring the proportion of that ticker in the Russell index back in line with the expected weight. Does that make sense? That's for Opinion to stand up. I don't know where he is, but that's for Opinion to stand up if he's willing to. Or isn't it a group, actually? Yeah, you know what? Someone please start a group in the group section, and then we can put the post. We can put all the Russell data there.
Artie, when do you consider an IV too high to play with?
When it's
Like 30,
higher
40
than
range?
3. No, it's not a number. It's a relative thing.
Okay.
If it's more than 2 standard deviations away from the from historical IV, I don't want to go long Vega.
Okay. I'm just now finally starting to understand the Greeks.
Yeah, if you go to my past AMAs that are still, I think, hosted on Reddit or probably on YouTube now, you can listen to some of the primers on Greeks.
It's just crazy how much relevance they got. Mathematics.
So what the fuck? This is let me simplify ETFs. The Russell ETF is basically market cap weighted, and the idea is that you take the top 3,000 companies, you weight them by market cap, and then that market cap represents the proportion of the index that it should represent. Companies that outperform the index have a greater proportion represented in the index than they should, and so they need to be brought back down to their their correct position relative to all the other tickers in the Russell. So in this case, because we have all these outperformers that have outperformed the Russell on the order of 70 percentage points, the expectation is that there's going to be a sell-off. The weights are constant at rebalancing, but then as time passes and some stocks go up and others go down, the weights deviate from what is expected. It's already sorted the way it should be sorted. WSB Sound. WSB Sound is on their union mandated break.
They didn't quit cigarettes.
If you turned a profit share, I'd say you're good. If you didn't, well, you didn't probably.
I'm driving right now. I can't see what coins. I was gonna get on the call on coin. I don't know why I was thinking that, but any opinion on Bitcoin, Hardy? Like, what's your opinion on it? You played it all?
I'd go down. So
Okay.
here's my Bitcoin thesis. There will only ever be like 21.5 million Bitcoin in the world. There are currently 50 million millionaires in the world today. So in the event Bitcoin becomes the world's reserve currency instead of the dollar, and you were to divide the Bitcoin across those 50 millionaires, you would only need 1/50 millionth of Bitcoin today to have the equivalent of a millionaire's net worth, assuming Bitcoin becomes the world's currency. Does that make sense?
Mathematics once again.
So in my case, if you want to be a millionaire in Bitcoin terms, you need something like 0.45 Bitcoin that you never go below. Personally, I have higher aspirations and I have a corresponding amount of Bitcoin to go with it.
Okay, so what about the exchanges? As far as, all right, like your more traditional exchanges are going to adapt to it, basically, and wipe out like Coinbase and whatnot, Binance and everything.
Part of my concern with Coinbase and now Binance being pursued by the SEC and other US regulators is it will drive participation by US citizens out of the crypto market, and it's unclear to what extent that will result in the price of crypto going down. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. And I'll say this: I have a little bit left in there, but I withdrew most of my money last night out of Coinbase. And the only reason why I have something in there is just because of I got some stupid points that I end up, whatever, obtaining over the years. I guess today's that anniversary for when the first Bitcoin was used to buy the pizza. And it was 50 Bitcoins or something like that. I forgot.
Doesn't matter. Just out of curiosity, is anyone here DIY handy?
What are you trying to do?
Let me show you what I bought. So I bought these clips, which are supposedly rated for 60 pounds. I intend to install 4 of them, one in each corner, on a large, let's say 5 foot tall, 2 foot wide mirror, framed. So screw one side into the frame, the other side into the wall. The problem is, how do I set up the wall side hooks or brackets so that they line up perfectly with the mirror side brackets? I haven't quite figured that part out yet. Hoping someone here knows something.
You got a laser handy?
No, but I can buy one. One of the advantages of being in New York, same day shipping.
Yeah. I mean, I'd have to look at what you're looking at. I can't see
So,
if I'm driving right now.
I did think about a French cleat, Master Handshake. The problem I have with a French cleat is it can slide sideways. And the reason why I got this in the first place is because Noah has demonstrated an interest in that particular mirror, and currently it's only held up with 18 gauge wire. Yeah, this
Yeah, you
one
want
in
to
New
be
York's
safe with that.
pretty bad. Yeah, let me put up a screenshot in the chat of the current situation. So I have environmental sensors in my apartment, so I can see this kind of stuff. It's actually kind of interesting.
So I have a question.
Just make sure I'm not doxing myself.
Can you guys hear me?
No.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I read in a Financial Times saying that more people are interested in buying bonds, government bonds, and that's how stocks will be coming down. Like, is that a viable case?
Plausible, yes, but not really for most people. Because keep in mind that risk-free rate is currently about 5.25%. So if a company is growing at 5.25%, why would you take the risk of the company potentially going bankrupt when you can make that same 5.25% just buying treasury bills?
Okay. So, is there any trigger point for the S&P 500 to come down? I know right now it's going up, so everything is going up, even though
There are plenty of catalysts, but for whatever reason, it still has retard strength.
one prime example.
T-bills are 5%. So if a company is not making 5%, why the hell would you invest in it?
Okay.
And even if they were, they'd have to do better
You
than
have to-
5%, right? Because you get
Correct.
the risk-free rate as opposed to a risk-adjusted with stocks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is like something Bitcoin could never pull off. It's kind of just like insane that they give you free money. I mean, sorry, fixed income.
We're going backwards.
Well, okay quality, here's something to consider. I've been selling puts and calls, basically wheeling GameStop for the last 18 months, and I've returned in excess of 70% in that time on a pretty large portfolio.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're looking for income, you can do it the simple way, which is buying bonds or T-bills. But like you said, you can also sell options against your longs. And
Well, in
make-
this case, it was wheeling, so sold
Well,
puts
yeah.
first.
Sure, that too.
So yeah, it sounds like everyone else's suggestion was just to basically make a grid, make sure I measure it right, about the same grid on the wall.
Yeah, measure center on each of the brackets and vertically and horizontally create a square. You should be able to get it no problem.
I probably should do hole to hole, not center on center, because there's no like defined center.
Hole, that's fine too.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. All right, so I'll
Just make
find
the
out
square.
this
You should be able to
afternoon.
lay it out real easy. Yeah. Let us know.
In theory, yes. In practice, I don't have a T-square. Small New York apartment.
Come on, you don't have a garage?
Nope.
No, not in New York. Well, you do if you have like one down, like beneath the building.
I understand what you're saying, Master Handshake, but how do you prevent the French cleat from sliding sideways? It's great for up and down, but I don't know the slideways part. Because I agree, French cleat is better, but as Noah gets stronger, how do you prevent the French cleat from sliding sideways against each other? Because he'll just try to drag the mirror that way. His fingers are still small enough to get behind a 5mm gap.
Enjoy Paris.
You're going to have to get some eye-bolt lag bolts and bolt them into studs and strap that mirror to the wall, Hardy. It's not going to look good, but it'll be safe.
The mirror or the kid?
Yeah, right?
That was really good.
I thought about getting one of those like fixed steel rings. You can hook a carabiner at one end, make sure it's tall enough so he can't reach it, and then the other end's a loop around his wrist or something. But I think someone will call. All right, thanks for Enterprise for sending us this link.
Yeah, that's me, man. When we were younger, helicopter parents. And yeah, one time we definitely had like a leash thing for my daughter to Disney when we were younger. We were so paranoid.
Noah can defeat most gates. Just you really have to bungee cord the damn thing in. And I was thinking Z-clips instead of actual French cleats, mainly because they're lower profile. So theoretically, he can't get his fingers behind it to like yank it off the wall. But I don't know if that's I don't know how easy it is to put blocks at the end of the Z-clips so they don't move sideways.
Guess that's the downside of him being 5 months developmentally ahead, huh?
5 months developmentally ahead basically means he's sorting colors now. So like that's something he should be doing 5 months from now. It does not mean he's the strength and height and dimensions of a 5-month older kid.
I'm just saying he can figure out how to get out of the gates better.
Lifting, I'm not concerned. He can't yet lift the 35 pounds that the mirror weighs.
But he may try.
If he puts a jack underneath the mirror to like lift it up, then I'm fucked.
Yeah, don't teach him basic physics, basic mechanics.
It's funny you say that. I got him Baby University, the book set.
Oh, I
It
love
teaches
that.
things-
Yeah, that's great. Quantum physics for babies.
Blockchain for Babies was a real hit when I put a picture of that on Slack for the VC guys I work with. And good call there, Charming Style Sod. So I guess a command strip would be enough, like the Velcro style command strip at the top. Hopefully Anita will approve of that. Like the wife acceptance factor is a thing here. I thought about mounting Z-clips one upside down relative to the other, so that it fixes the up-down problem, but not the side-to-side problem. You have to slide the mirror into place, basically.
Anyone buying ICANN Enterprises?
Not lighting it on fire.
Sorry?
You asked if anyone is buying ICANN Enterprises, and I said I like holding on to my money, not lighting it on fire.
I'm thinking ICANN Enterprises is like an Indian Adani. When people said Adani is is going to fall right now, he almost regained all his wealth.
Sorry, unboxing some new computers.
No worries. I'm just trying to see how I can put blocks or something on the end of Z-clips so that they don't slide back and side to side. Well, Intel doesn't have the precision of TSM or the yield. So while they can technically produce a 2 nanometer chip, the percentage of chips they have to throw away to achieve a saleable 2 nanometer chip is too high. So the yield is not acceptable.
Speaking of semis, what do you guys think about Qualcomm? I mean, I feel like Apple, Google,
I love
maybe at
Qualcomm.
some point Samsung will all want to go vertically integrated to control their both the hardware and the software experience. And I mean, obviously Google and Apple have already done it. Do you think Qualcomm gets crowded out?
How do you even trade Samsung? You have to go on Daiwa, right, or whatever. Sorry, answer the Qualcomm thing first. My bad.
Master Hank, so I guess Nuvia, did you mean NVIDIA? They're both designers, right? Qualcomm and NVIDIA only design, they don't manufacture. What's the crossover between Qualcomm and NVIDIA? Oh shit, I stand corrected. Thanks. Yeah. I know there's also like GraphCore and a couple other like more ASIC style ARM based like designers that are kicking around. Be interested to see if any of them IPO this year.
That depends on your risk tolerance, cyber awareness. So, just you basically take the premium divided by the strike, and then annualize it based on the DTE. So you can figure out your annualized return on that premium on that short put.
Buys being five right now.
I would stand aside on both.
Okay, I was just in the partner. What happened?